Do you think Palworld's a cheap ripoff or the next biggest thing in gaming? Hey everyone, it's your boy Rocky here with some strong opinions on a sensitive topic, the controversy of borderline plagiarism. Overnight, an unknown gaming company broke records across the board, but did they do it in a legitimate manner? There are a lot of things other people have pointed out from the gaming world that were copied from other big name titles. PALs being Pokemon, world traversal mechanics, even building and survival aspects. There doesn't seem to be a single thing people have not claimed as stolen in this game. Well, let's have that debate right here. If you disagree with anything said, I would love to hear your opinions in the comments. Just keep it civil, please. Let's start with the big one. Did Palworld really steal from Pokemon? For starters, the idea of catching creatures. That on its own gets any game shamed for being like Pokemon. But why? Pokemon is a complex game far more in depth than any kid's game should be. I for one see it more as a meticulously balanced competitive turn-based strategy game. While the slogan is gotta catch 'em all, the reality is no one wants to. Even with the original 150, it was tedious beyond enjoyment. People do it more as a badge of honor rather than for fun. The slogan itself is just a tool for selling toys to children. The real reason people play Pokemon is to see their IV-EV trained teams stomp the competition. The actual challenge starts after the Elite Four. Anyone that has ever brought the team they used in the story mode to the multiplayer scene learned real quick how trash they really were at Pokemon. The vast majority of us don't even know how to use Baton Pass correctly and think moves that don't deal damage are trash. Pokemon's character designs are for the most part unique, but a vast majority of them are already pre-existing creatures, deities, mythos, and even everyday items. Everyone on the Wolfheart team is a Pokemon fanboy. We remember the Christmas morning when we finally got our Pokemon Red or Blue for our Game Boy. We were there for the Vanillish and the Trubbish debates. I'm gonna say the same thing now that I did then. Magnemite is a pile of scrap held together by magnets. Rattata is literally a rat, and Ekans is just a snake with his name spelled backwards. How can you call the new generation unoriginal? So if you think Pokemon didn't downright steal 99% of their roster from pre-existing things, I'm sorry to say you're factually wrong.
Odd creatures, really odd creatures. Magnet cells, rats, snakes, ice cream, mincy, Mothro, crows, does, waterfowls, little owls, crocs, rocks, hawks, locks, frogs, dogs, hogs, logs, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee.
Anyways, the point is Pokemon has so many things and none of them are actually new ideas. What I think is really happening here is Pokemon has become so popular it's replaced the things that it's copied. How many of you know what a Drowsy is but not a Baku? Pokemon lore has become more widely known than the traditional mythology it has ripped off. No one sees a snake or a rat, they see childhood memories. If the OG 151 hit the market today, they would be shredded to bits by rabid internet trolls for how downright lazy the design is. Instead, they hold so much nostalgia the community worships it on a nearly religious level. I know because I'm one of the followers of Arceus. So, for those of you who think Palworld's a ripoff of Pokemon, well, Pokemon is just as guilty, you just didn't have access to Wikipedia yet. Second point of this video is mechanics. There are quite a few people who have been able to pinpoint what designs came from other games. The catching of creatures, climbing mechanics, survival mechanics, building, leveling, you name it, another game has it. But why is anyone mad about this? I feel like being mad about adopting a working mechanic from an older game into a new one is a toxic hipster trait. Souls-likes, for example, have become one of the hottest new subgenres, and you don't see From Software throwing around lawsuits. Saying you can't use mechanic XYZ because game 123 did it first is not only dumb, it's harmful to gaming's evolution. Imagine if cars had square wheels because horse-drawn carriages were the first ones to use round wheels. That's what I hear every time someone complains that new game stole old game idea. If it works, and it works well enough that improvement is not really needed, then a company shouldn't have to waste time and energy trying to quite literally reinvent the wheel. Minor adjustments to fit the game are always needed. One wheel does not fit all rims, but I think you get the point, right? Palworld's success comes from a culmination of ideas that already work put together. Nearly nothing was new, but the game is still fun because everything works.
Oh my god, that's fucking fantastic. That's fucking fantastic.
You can replicate that every time.
That's more than can be said from most of these big name companies that spend unholy amounts of cash on games that die in a week. Most of the time they shoot themselves in the foot by trying to be special in one way or another. Let's take Diablo 4 as an example. While overall a good game, there were several major issues. The gameplay loop itself was short-lived and entirely without an endgame. They had all the resources from D2 and 3 to make the best ARPG ever, and what we got was beyond disappointing, even when compared to a free game like Path of Exile. The MMO-style online play was almost entirely pointless and actually hampered the gameplay by adding desync or lag. Cool, 40 people all gather around a world boss and turn the area into particle effects. Was that worth the playability of your game? D4 may have fixed some of these issues in time, but first impressions are everything. On just the first impression of Palworld, every gamer knows what to do. How many of you actually read the how to play section? You've seen it all before and it works like it should. Immersion was smooth and easy. No Navi yelling, "Hey, listen," or a 5-hour tutorial on how to play the game. You are thrown into a brand new world and your inner gaming instincts guide you. This is how the evolution of mechanics should be. Games are free to add or remove what they feel helps or hinders their flow, but for the most part there are some hard lines in gaming that you do not cross. We made these lines by learning the hard way. The most important is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So what if Palworld took Zelda's climbing and stamina? Zelda stole it from Conan and they both robbed Shadow of the Colossus blind. That doesn't make Shadow of the Colossus any less of an iconic game. Thank you for starting one of the best parkour mechanics known to man, and for that, we salute you. For the most part, people upset about Palworld doing well are just sad their favorite gaming company didn't think of it first. But that's okay. Competition breeds innovation, and for far too long the titans of gaming have slow dripped the same exact trash to us since the PS2. Give or take some motion controls. Hopefully moves like this from indie companies force the big boys to actually try again. With all evolution, you adapt or you die, plain and simple. If a small indie team with no AAA backing can pull this out, then what have Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo been doing for the last 15 years? All I can come up with is they've been robbing their own fan base simply because the fans are too loyal to believe that their favorite gaming company actually would. But let's look at COD, Zelda, Pokemon, Elder Scrolls, Fortnite, Assassin's Creed, or even Minecraft. If one of those names made your butt pucker and your fingers hit the keyboard, you're probably getting robbed of your money and praising the company for doing it. Remember, it's nearly impossible to convince someone that you've already fooled them. They have to see it for themselves. I feel like Palworld is that mirror we, the gaming community, need to look into and see the wool that has been pulled over our eyes. I hope this outlook on Palworld will help people pull back on the rabid hate they have for small businesses doing well. If not, then you probably also think Walmart should be allowed to sue anyone who uses a cash register for copying them. Let's help the small guy for once, and take the money away from the lazy industry giants and give it to the young blood itching to make a name for themselves. I, for one, don't want to see another remaster. Just imagine what the Palworld team could do if they had the backing of the people. Sure, they might mess it up, but it's better than watching Nintendo dust off the same 5 titles every year like they have for the last 20. Or playing the same COD released 5 years in a row. Fuck you, Rockstar. Hey. For the most part, people that are upset with Palworld doing well are just sad their favorite gaming company didn't think of it first. There's a fucking gnat literally like touching my face right now. I hate you so much. That's more, okay, fuck me. That's more than, God, now I'm saying it like a goddamn